It took me 15 years to come to Parsons. And today, I feel truly honored to have the opportunity to speak in front of a powerhouse of awe-inspiring talent. Congratulations to each and every one of you. We made it. When I decided that I would move to New York City one day to become a fashion designer, I had no idea how that was going to happen. I wasn't planning, I was only dreaming. It has been quite a meandering route to get here, but all the twists and turns did not prepare me for the beautiful way in which Parsons would challenge me. The little girl had the conviction, which got lost along the way due to a minor prom dress designing disaster in high school. Colossal at the time though, don't get me wrong. I had a self-doubt that my inner voice was not steering me in the right direction. So next stop was business school in Boston. Moving on, it took a meltdown at my first job out of school to make me pay attention to what my 10-year-old self was trying to tell me forever. It was like a wake-up call. 2 years in, the situation reached its tipping point. Uncontrollable tears started streaming down my face at work one day. I realized that I had been feeling invisible for too long. Leaving my stuff everywhere and with a heavy heart, I left work and couldn't get myself to set foot in that door again. They sent my things home. By then, I had already sent in my application to Parsons. Among the many things that they sent home were sketches and doodles and redesigned logos of the company when I was training in finance. They hang in my studio now as a silent reminder of the beautiful moment of the realization of my inner voice. Ever since then, I don't hesitate to reach out to my inner voice when I feel paralyzed by a dilemma, or when I'm at the beginning of a tunnel that seems to have no light at the end of it. As soon as I came to Parsons, I knew I was home, and the people I surrounded myself with instantly became family. First, I found my mother-in-law. I didn't know this at the time, but you know when they become your self-appointed honest critics, and don't sugarcoat anything. If you find them, consider yourself lucky and keep them at all cost. Once you get past how much it hurts to hear the truth about your work, they will be the green line to your husband. Second was my fashion school mother. You call these people when the mother-in-law has done the damage. They will reassure you that you have a unique voice as a designer, and no matter how unrealistic your goals are, you can achieve them if you really believe in yourself and if you really try. Last but not the least was the overachieving cousin. I do believe that we must only compete with ourselves and not compare ourselves with others, but these cousins around school are critical. They keep you grounded, and they help you set high standards for yourself. They arrive at school before you open your eyes, and they are the last ones to leave once security kicks them out. Most of us have had at least one of these people, and if we were lucky, we've had them all. And it is in this intimate family set that we flourish as people and artists and leave our lives behind in India, in China, in Korea, and many other countries in the world, and also many cities in the United States, hoping to perfect our craft. Friends, if you are receiving your degree today, you have successfully passed through a program of mental, physical, and emotional endurance. We all know that classes involve miraculously noticing the redness in your white studio walls. Your internship can be even stranger. From hand sewing thousands of Swarovski crystals on a wrap dress for Lady Gaga all night, and then delivering it to her dressing room in the morning, to watching pattern makers drape a dress for the First Lady. Yes, she is as tall as she seems in the photos. All bets are off. One day you're working on a dress for a celebrity, and the next day you are sorting through a pile of fresh fur with your bare hands as a vegetarian and ruminating on everything Peter has against her employer. But I knew that this was the only way to get to Fashion Week. So the inner voice said, suck it up, go big, or go home. Steaming unending trains of gowns changing models, and then rushing to the front to watch the show was nothing short of exhilarating. A flashback of those 20 minutes inspires me even today and reminds me of all the hard work that lies ahead of me. The glamour and glitz of the fashion industry, however, is just the tip of the iceberg. Fashion is often viewed as transitional and highlights the trivialities rather than the depth of fashion, with its ability to change lives. Fashion has a responsibility and a stake in the environment, in creating livelihoods for artisans, in the economy, in women's emancipation, and in making society an inclusive place. In a world where the only constant is change, the one thing we can rely on is our passion, which will never lead us astray, just like our inner voice. Our inner voice and passion go hand in hand and are the epicenter of our endurance and longevity in our motivation. In the words of Rumi, let yourself be silently drawn by the strange pull of what you really love. It will not lead you astray. Trends may change, we may move on to our different lives in various corners of the world, but what will remain is the valuable lessons we learned together and the relationships we built during our time here that we will cherish for years to come. Finding a deeper meaning in our craft will make it invincible and make it last beyond our lifetimes. The meaning and purpose of life is to discover and express yourself. Because as Viktor Frankl says, life is never made unbearable by circumstance, but only by the lack of meaning and purpose. I trust that each one of us will strive to push the boundaries that have been set by those who preceded us. This means pushing the boundaries to challenge what is being told to us as the accepted truth. If it doesn't feel right, we must ask questions and question the answers themselves, because the only thing we have to fear is fear itself, not failure. I would like to share some of the questions from my journal. How can we make fashion more inclusive for those who don't consume it the way that we intended it to be consumed? For example, for someone who doesn't have the privilege to experience it with their eyes. Can fashion be more sensitive to the disabled and take into account the needs of different body types? How might fashion lead to the uplift of society and emancipation of women? What is fashion's role in sustaining the environment? It is in these answers that we will find deeper meaning, satisfaction, and long-lasting success. These are questions that raise more questions, to which there will be no answers, unless we own them and commit our lifetimes to finding them. The way that the industry is set up today forbids us from taking adequate time for research and development and to steer away from the beaten path. But on the contrary, there is no better time in history to stray from this path and create our own. We are fortunate to have been born in an era where we can exercise independent thought and action more than ever before. The masters who we aspire to be like were once beginners in their craft as well and had as many questions, doubts, and fears as we do now. We should learn from their mistakes and set different standards and bars, ones that do not discriminate between human beings and create an industry and world where there is equality and integrity for all. The answers will flow if we start asking the questions that all our inner voices are asking of us. Out of passion, the answers will flow if we start asking all the questions that all our inner voices are asking of us out of passion and without fear. If we look within ourselves, we already have everything we need to take on what lies ahead of us. Our feet that have stood for endless hours in the studio without a break can surely carry us to the future. Our hands that can who sew and rip seams all night are capable of building the lives we've dreamt of, and our eyes can see the future that our minds can only imagine. Thank you, Executive Dean Joel Towers, Dean Hazel Clark, Associate Dean Yvonne Watson. Thank you Parsons for everything that you've given me. Thank you Timo for inviting me to speak. And thank you to the wonderful faculty and staff members, Professor Rippey for answering my 21 questions, Marco for his patience, ISS, thank you security for not pulling the switch before my last crucial stitch, my friends who supported me through thick and thin, and most of all my parents for believing in me. Thanks Mom, who's here from India, and thanks Dad, who is back home in India. Class of 2015. The moment we walk out of these doors today, let us stop entertaining fear and start creating